Football is live. Welcome everybody to episode 104 of Football is Life. I am one of your three co-hosts, Ethan Cooney, joined as always by Matt Powell.
Hello, hello.
Mr. Hello himself, and Nat Mahmoudez.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, Nat doesn't have a nickname because Matt always says hello, and it's unfortunate because sometimes I kind of want to say hello, but I can't because it's Matt's thing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like, yeah, sometimes it just seems like the right greeting. It's like hello, but
yeah,
maybe I could do like hey.
No.
Or like hey. You could say hi to Nat and Matt and then the audience.
No. Matt has to be the one.
Hey is Fat Albert's thing though. You remember that?
No. Yeah. You and me Ethan have to change it. Have to change how we introduce ourselves, Ethan, because you and me, we're the unhinged ones on the show. Matt is the one who brings us down to earth.
Yes, Matt is the glue center of this show. Matt keeps us together.
We really do have like the perfect balance for the show, because me and Ethan tend to get loud, and sometimes we'll have bold takes. Not to say that Matt doesn't also have bad takes. Matt, as we've seen,
I like how you called your takes bold and my takes bad. I like that little. That's fun.
As we've seen, Matt has been wrong many times on the show, but normally, to bring us back down to earth, we go to Matt. And where like I'll be freaking out about something, they'll be like, Matt, what do you think? And Matt's like, yeah, you're wrong. It's this is just obviously
in that tone.
Matt is our stats man. You know, Matt always has the XG and the.
That's Jamie.
We don't have a
Jamie. I turn my hat around backwards and then I go by Jamie and then I bring the stats.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how it works.
And then I wear a headpiece in my off time. I'm bald and I work out and I promote right-wing conspiracy theories and
whoa.
Change my name to Joe.
That's our other
question. Am I the Stephen A. Smith of Football's Life?
Ooh.
I see that. I also
is anybody the Stephen A. Smith? I see that. I
like to think of myself as a Rich Eisen.
That's fair. That's fair.
That works.
I don't know who I want to claim. I mean, I always like Max. I always like Max Kellerman. To be honest.
You're not. You don't want to be Max Kellerman. You don't want to be that.
I mean, he's a cool
Kellerman
guy.
Has a habit of not knowing what he's talking about.
I mean, mostly the I want Iguodala clip is the worst one. But
is that the worst sports take of all time?
Maybe
there's a lot of bad sports takes. They spend a lot of time on TV just talking.
Maybe you're just Alexi.
No, how dare you? How dare you? That's terrible.
Speaking of Alexi, we're gonna start with the Copa America. Get into this game against Uruguay, and it was not good. Not good. It wasn't the scoreline wasn't as embarrassing as it could have been.
No.
But
Marcelo Bielsa said it best, I think, when he said that it didn't even matter that I was suspended because the U.S. didn't do anything until the last 10 minutes anyway.
Crazy that he's suspended also. Why does it matter? Why does it matter if the coach?
Yeah, it's a little soft, I feel like for so many coaches to be suspended for this thing, it's just feels really harsh.
I don't see the delay if the coach has to use the bathroom after talking to the team after like yelling at the team in the locker room, then I'm fine with that. Like it's like you have your halftime stuff. The players go back on the field. Doesn't matter. He's just gonna like he's still there. It's stupid.
Yeah.
He's gonna still coach. This just feels like a nothing. That just feels like a nothing suspension. But okay, we'll start at the beginning of the game. First thing that was very noticeable, the camera angle for this game. US Soccer, Copa America, just American soccer in the US. It's like they just continue to meme themselves as the angle for this was just like terrible. Like no one wants to watch soccer. No one, at least for me, like the best way to watch a soccer game is not in all 22 field view, and you get to really see anything that was happening on and the commentators were talking like it wasn't their decision, it was the international broadcast feed, but still it took them way too long to switch that. And then also they're saying they had cameras at the normal level. Like what? Like why can't they just use their feed? Anyway, this was terrible. Any thoughts on that? On the broadcasting of this game? A lot of the decisions were very strange, Ethan.
Yeah, I mean, I won't speak too much on it because in the end, it was an issue that got fixed. But and maybe I'm being a little dramatic, but it was a little disorienting at times to watch it from that angle. I was like, are my eyes hurting?
Also, like the angle was weird. It kind of looked slanted out of way.
Yeah. It was really odd.
I mean,
I'm glad they fixed it eventually, but.
I mean, we know it's bad when the Goodyear blimp tweets out that, guys, we are not actually covering the U.S. game. Like when the Goodyear blimp is getting involved on Twitter, that means like a lot of people are talking about this. But
the Goodyear blimp scale for big deals.
But when we look at the
where was the Goodyear blimp on January 6th? Did they tweet about that?
Question. That's a good question.
Were they the Goodyear? I mean, I don't know how to. I don't even know how to respond to that one.
I think you would see it. I think you would have seen that one. That one would have shown up in the pictures.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to hide a massive blimp. But I don't know. Talk about to move into the actual game. The U.S. never looked like they were going to score in this game. We never looked like we had a chance of getting a result in this game. When you look at the actual lineup, with Tim Weah getting sent off in the game against Panama, the only change to the starting lineup was that Yunus Musa comes in and into the midfield, which means that Gio Reyna gets to play higher up with Yunus Musa coming in. And like before, obviously last episode, I talked about that, like, why isn't Yunus Musa on the field? I thought Yunus Musa was not good in this game. I would have preferred to play, one of our forwards who is in good form, like Haji Wright, who took until like 10 minutes left in this game to get onto the field, which is way too late, as Greg Berhalter continued to make the same substitutions all at the wrong time. We'll get into a specific moment of it, but I want to actually give some credit to Alexi Lawless, who actually said some smart things at the end of this game, which is, very, very low bar for Alexi. But like, he was right to actually call out, this is a massive, massive failure for the U.S. men's national team, becoming the first Copa America host to get eliminated in the group stage, and first time the U.S. has been eliminated in the group stage of a tournament they have hosted in the U.S. Ethan, tell us about like how much of a failure that this is for the U.S.
Yeah, it's astonishing, really. It feels like a new low. Obviously, the low of not qualifying for the 2018 World Cup perhaps still hits harder. It's maybe a darker, further depth than this, though. This is a pretty stunning low, I think, for this team, especially because there's a clear path that leads to us losing this game, and it starts in December of 2022 after we got knocked out of the World Cup. Gregg Berhalter, his contract ran out with the United States as the coach, and there was like a 9 month long hiring process. There was the whole scandal with the Reinas. And at the end of all of that, they still decided to rehire Berhalter and to bring him back. And now we're really seeing the ramifications of that, of hiring a coach who's not really a winner by any means other than our little CONCACAF tournaments. Gregg Berhalter has really done diddly poo for the USMNT. I mean, it's ridiculous. He doesn't even have, any signature wins. His record against, like, I think top 20 FIFA ranked opponents is abysmal.
If you exclude Mexico, it's like, I don't know if he has a win.
Yeah,
He doesn't.
I forget the exact.
yeah. I don't think there's a win either besides Mexico.
And Mexico to be in the top 20 of teams, this Mexico is shocking.
Yeah, that's true. Berhalter was also playing against like the worst Mexico team in recent history that any U.S. coach has had to play against. And it's even more of an abysmal decision when you see a coach like Jesse Marsch, who we know was actually interviewed for, and passed on for the job of USMNT head coach, as an American who's now coaching Canada and has just gotten Canada into the semifinals of the Copa America. With all due respect to those Canadian players, with a less talented squad than the U.S. squad. Maybe the highs are higher than the U.S. squad, with players like Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David, maybe even Mr. Schaffelberger. But I mean, 1 for 1, par for par. It's not a team that's as talented as the U.S. team, and yet they're Jesse Marsch's in the semifinals with his team, and Gregg Berhalter is now sitting at home, looking at himself in the mirror and saying, "It's still you, man. You're the coach. They picked you. You got this, man." He's doing daily affirmations in the mirror, because nobody wants him in this job anymore. You can kind of tell that the players feel the same way, but obviously the players can't really say anything about it. I think it was Clint Dempsey who made this point after the game that, in the event that Berhalter doesn't get fired, you can't really speak out against him because there's a chance that you're not going to be called up for the next, USMNT camp. So you have to be careful with your words. Matt Turner, I think, was a little too careful in saying that he thinks they're headed in the right direction, which is just like factually like unprovable. Yes, they're moving backwards. It's crazy. I mean, I was just trying to look up right now some of let's take a look at the starting lineup that Jurgen Klinsmann played in the 2016 Copa America. Granted, The only one I could find on short notice was the one in the semifinal against Argentina, in which we got trounced. But he was playing with Guzan, Yedlin, Jeff Cameron, Jonathan Brooks, who Greg Berhalter exiled from this team, mind you.
Or did he
Fabian
give the
Johnson.
blessing to exile him? I read both. That's kind of how that's the version of it that I read.
Right. Jossie Zardes, Michael Bradley.
There it is. I was waiting for you to drop Jossie Zardes in there.
Kyle Beckerman, Chris fucking Wondolowski, Graham Zusi, Clint Dempsey. And on the bench, he had like Nagby, Tim Howard. Pulisic was on the bench, actually, back when he was a real youngster. Perry Kitchen was on this team. We had a fucking room in a house on this team. And we still made it to the semifinals and lost only at the hands of the greatest player to ever play the game.
Perry Kitchen had a very good season, was having a very good year for DC United that season. So no disrespect for Perry Kitchen, but
you could say he was cooking that year.
But I mean, nice. That was good. I appreciate that. But I mean, we talk about like the success that Canada is having, and that Copa America team had. Like, yeah, like while some people might look down on, Canada has 13 MLS players on their roster,
right?
And there's only 2 MLS players on the US and the U.S. roster, and neither of them has started a game. So it's really like the quality should be better. Well, the Canadian players, like, they have experience playing together. That 2016 had experience playing together. They knew that, like, it was that year, and now, like, we have a very clear idea, like, who's gonna play where for Canada, except for. And then maybe have like one change. That's not the case with this U.S. team. Every game, it's like a huge mystery. We've said this before. We don't know who's going to play because Berhalter doesn't know who's going to play because he's a terrible coach and just making it up every time. Part of how you build success is having consistency and familiarity in a team. That's how you build. It's how you build a strong team that is hard to break down and works well together. And that is a huge reason why the U.S. isn't doing well and Canada is having success. Going back to what Ethan was saying about like asking the players about it, like. It is ridiculous. Like, you can't. Yeah, the players can't say anything bad because they don't want to get blacklisted and stuff. But that is, in a sense, another problem. In that, Berhalter is known to do stuff like that. He is known to, if anyone criticizes him, to not bring them back into the team, which. If those players are actually playing well, it means that I would say he is a bad coach for not bringing them in. Like, you can say like if you're not going to bring someone in because like they did something, like there are reasons to not bring someone in. Like if they're being a bad person off the field, like fine, don't bring them in for that. But if the only negative thing they're doing to the team is criticizing the coach for valid reasons, like holding them out just makes the coach look even worse. That's another not against Greg Berhalter. Anyway, let's stop asking the player. The players shouldn't be involved in this. And like going off that, like players shouldn't like the U.S. is too comfortable right now. Like the players who are getting called in, like they aren't like they should know that when they step on the field, they have to play their hardest so that another star doesn't take the spot away from them. Like we talk about this being the golden generation. If someone isn't performing, we have to play. That next guy has to step up, and they should get their shot. We don't see accountability from Gregg Berhalter in this sense. And with that, Matt, do you have any thoughts on like the players being asked about like their thoughts on the coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they should be involved in the process behind closed doors, but putting them on the spot in front of the media, and I get it's the media's job to ask those questions. And if I was in the media, I would probably ask those questions because it's topical and it's relevant and it's the answer that you actually want, even if the players will never give you it. But so I don't know whose fault it is, but the players shouldn't be responsible for leading this campaign against Gregg. The leadership should be doing its due diligence and talking to the star players and talking to the up and comers about how they see Gregg and where they see this team going and if Gregg can take them there. But for now, the players should just be responsible and talk to the media as if Gregg could be the coach and as if Gregg could not be the coach. Like they're sort of responsible for writing that line and acknowledging that it's not good enough and also being ready to be called up if Gregg is the coach, because this federation, this soccer group has demonstrated ignorance and poor decision making in the past, and bringing Gregg back after this, let's call it what it is, embarrassing performance would not be the most shocking thing in the world. In fact, when these rumors started coming out that he might not be sticking around or that there's some big announcement coming later this week, I was shocked personally. I really thought they were just going to keep him. And when we last talked on the show, we talked about the odds that he would get moved. I think I said if they lost 1-0, what did I call it? A 5% chance?
Yeah.
Or something?
Mm-hmm.
I said if it was 5-0, then I'd start talking about like 25 to 40% chance. So I was personally shocked when it went this way. But, if they take the initiative, if they get rid of him, if they make real strides and try and hire someone better, more forward-thinking, someone at the forefront of tactical soccer instead of 10 years behind it, then, I'll be pleasantly surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised so far that there's even an announcement coming. If that announcement is like, Gregg is staying, then, what are we doing?
So they make this announcement during halftime of the France-Portugal game. Very strange timing. Fox Sports, just Jules Breitz comes on and says that US Soccer, that they have learned that US Soccer will make an announcement, will make a statement on Gregg Berhalter sometime midweek. So I'm assuming this to either be this Thursday or Wednesday. I don't think it will happen tomorrow on Monday. But obviously, since the Uruguay game, there has been so much noise on the internet about Gregg Berhalter and about the U.S. Gregg Berhalter has actually been trending on Twitter, which is still shocking. It's huge. It's like shocking. This never happened. Just the amount of people who are talking about it, the amount of non-soccer fans who are talking, or non-soccer experts on TV who are talking about this. Like, it's huge. Soccer is, we've said it so much, it's growing in the U.S. and America wants to be taken more seriously. Americans want it to be taken more seriously. So it's good. And because of that, that made U.S. Soccer have to say something. Because as Matt said, like, the Federation, they like him. Like, they clearly want to keep him, which is insane. But it also just shows, like, they like him. They have no problem with keeping him. But they make this announcement, and I feel like they can't make this announcement if they're not planning to fire him. How bold will it be if they keep him? Like, wouldn't be that surprising because it is U.S. Soccer, but it would be so bold because they're doing that to shut up everyone talking about getting rid of him. And I think the fact that this weekend that the noise of fire Berhalter hasn't stopped is a good thing to make sure that it actually happens. Because I do think if it stopped, there was more of a chance that while they announced it so that he would get fired, if everyone stopped talking about it, they very easily would have decided, all right, news cycle has passed. We're going to keep him now. So, I mean, like, good on the fans to keep this going. And obviously, this was the first time the American Outlaws and other supporters group have ever released a statement asking for a new coach. They've never done this before. So it's huge. And like, there is real change. We've seen this before, that fans have band together and made stuff actually happen. So if he does get fired, this is on the fans 100%, because the US Soccer wants to keep him. That's for sure. Ethan, what are your thoughts on the announcement, and also about like how the federation like handles this? And do you have any thoughts on Matt Crocker not being in Kansas City for the Uruguay game and being in Europe for this entire week as it's being reported?
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. It's like if your kid has a parent-teacher conference, you're not going to be like, you're not going to go to the Eagles concert in the next town over. You're going to be at your kid's parent-teacher conference. You're going to want to be there for your kid because it's your job. To speak of parenting in a less romantic sort of way. It's his job, he should be there. It's ridiculous. And I really don't know what the federation sees in Gregg. I don't know what they have seen in Gregg for all these years. For me, if I was a part of the federation, the second I see Gregg motion that it's 1-1 to his players in the Panama-Bolivia game, the second he does that, regardless of the outcome of the game, I'm starting to make calls to get him fired, because that is it's the epitome of this loser mentality. Like, what do you mean you're updating your players on the result of another game that shouldn't even matter, because you fucked up already to get to the point where you are? That game should not have mattered to us at all. We should have been in the fucking thing already. We shouldn't have had to care about this Panama-Bolivia game. And it's also, it's twisting the knife and pouring salt into the wounds that right after Gregg motions that it's 1-1 to his players, Uruguay go on and score their goal that wins them this game. Regardless of whether or not that goal should have counted, because he kind of looks offside to me. We did not deserve to win this game, and we didn't deserve to go through this group. Panama clearly deserved it more. They beat Bolivia in more resounding fashion than we did. They beat us. They deserved it more. Very, very poor performance from the U.S., and I don't know how every single member of the U.S. Soccer Federation doesn't see this performance, specifically the 1-1 motion, the loser mentality that imbues. I don't know how they look at this performance, Gregg's performance specifically, and they don't immediately fire him. It's ridiculous. He has more job safety than President Biden. Like he has the safest job in America right now. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. Why won't they fire him? It's been years. It's like maybe they finally will, but what the fuck?
I want to say I was very hesitant while other people were celebrating the result against Bolivia, the 2-0 result. I was like, bro, Bolivia had no chance of scoring ever in this game. We should have beaten them by more. We knew we were in a bad position with after losing to Panama because we only beat them by 2-0, and we knew that Panama, they knew that they had to go out and score a lot of goals to make up the goal differential. So, and because we knew that they knew that, we knew we had to get a result against Uruguay. We had to try to beat them, and just beating them 1-0 would have been huge. We never looked like we were going to score in this game, and Gregg Berhalter by holding up 1-1 in this game when we knew we had to win or had to score a goal is a big indication that Gregg Berhalter is a liar, because he says after this game, when asked, do you believe that you are the right manager to go to coach at the World Cup? He just said yes. By saying that, and then also by saying that we could do better, that he knows that we can do better, that is a lie. Because if he's not lying, then he's not holding up 1-1. That is because 30 minutes are left. You know how quick goals can happen. 30 minutes. And it's so funny that they scored on that play, but 30 minutes. Uruguay was going to score sometime in that game. Even if it ended 0-0, which it very well could have. Like, they were never, like, it's so bad. And the fact he admitted to it, like, he could have been, like, people were trying to be like, oh, he was trying to say 1-on-1 defending. He literally admitted to saying this.
But it's also earlier in the week before the game, he was like, yeah, we're not going to be thinking about the result of the Panama-Bolivia game.
Yeah.
But it goes to show how much faith he has in this team that he was hanging on, for that couple of seconds to that 1-1 result. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Matt, do you have anything to say on that?
Yeah. I mean, going into that Uruguay game, the expectation has to be that you win or you go home, based on where the other results are almost always going to end up. And of course they end up that way. And there's obviously some things that went on referee wise in this Uruguay game, but I do not care. No USMNT fan should care. It was frustrating to watch, but the truth is that we did not deserve to win. We were outplayed and the result is fair. Even if you could feel slighted with some of the decisions that were made and some of the ways the game was handled. But the result's fair. The team did not deserve to go through. They lost. They got grouped when they lost to Panama is what happened. And yeah, I mean, it's an indictment of the federation, of Gregg. It's an indictment of the players, in all honesty. There's not enough. I don't know if it's not enough drive. I like to think that I have an idea of what could work tactically with this team. But they're too talented to lose to Panama, regardless of what. Like, you should be able to say, go play soccer, and then they should go beat Panama. No disrespect to Panama. There is just a talent gap with players like Balogun and Pulisic and a team captained by Anibal Godoy.
Gregg Berhalter is just so wishy-washy.
That's your guy right there. How are you gonna?
I'm just being honest. I'm just being like, I love Godoy. By the way, he's hurt, so he's not in this game.
He's always changing his mind. Like Gregg Berhalter, he's always changing his mind. He can never decide. Obviously, he said that they weren't going to pay attention to the Bolivia-Panama game. We know that's a lie. We know that he doesn't take Ricardo Pepi to the World Cup when he isn't in good form. which is fair. And then it seems like he kind of moved on from him. But then now, like, he continues to play him after Ricardo Pepi was absolute dog shit in the games before this tournament. Back to Haji Wright, the guy who's in the best form. He still can't get on the field even when Balogun gets injured. And I will say, Balogun, I was very critical of about his play. Player of the tournament for the U.S. for this. It's Balogun for me.
Might as well have been the only player on the field for
one of the only
players of the tournament. I did think there was one other bright spot. I think Joe Scally might have taken Dest's spot for good.
He did play pretty well. Awesome. Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not a big Dest fan, but also I didn't think he was great.
You know what I'll say?
Scally is really young and showed a lot of promise.
Yes. What I'll say about the USMNT, and then maybe we can move on before we just keep pulling hairs. Yesterday, I got a cavity filled at the dentist, and there was a split second where
that hurt less than
my dentist started
than the Uruguay game. Correct.
My dentist started drilling, and the initial numbing didn't work very well. So there were a couple seconds where I was feeling the drilling into my tooth, and that was better than the US's performances in this Copa America.
Who would you rather have, Southgate or Berhalter?
I mean,
Southgate.
Yeah, Southgate.
100%.
Look, the football.
Southgate makes some ridiculous decisions.
He does, and the football is not even better, I guess. Like, it's definitely not worse than Berhalter ball. Southgate ball has been really rough to watch this year.
But it's getting more results.
But yes, he's at least getting some results.
How do you guys feel if Berhalter if he resigns next week instead of getting fired?
I would only be happy if he resigned with a video or a note that was very like Walter White style, like, I did it for me, like you know, like, that's the only way I would be happy, if he revealed himself to be like just a selfish asshole and was like, he was like, yes, I wanted it, I liked it all, I did it for me, I didn't give a shit about anyone else. Then maybe I would, you know, get on the Berhalter train a little bit. Of course, the train that's leaving the station, hopefully. But
I want to say one other thing about Matt Crocker. I feel like he should be at the game. Like, he should not be at the Euros. He should be watching Copa America. I'm sorry, even if he is an English fan, you work for a different federation who's in an international competition. You should be there. I feel this way about owners the same way. If you own a team, go to the game. It'd be my dream to own a sports team. And if I own that team, I'm gonna be at the game. Go to the game. You don't have an excuse to not be there. But also, I would say, just like, the timing of all this is just so slow. Like, it's like, I would like to know exactly what US Soccer, what the federation people are doing. 9 to 5.
What are they waiting for?
What are you doing? Like, you're like, we talked about this with Berhalter when he was like, when their last summer, when he was like, I have work to do besides, and that's why he's not going to coach the team at the Gold Cup. What? Your job is to coach the team. What else are you doing? Mm-hmm. Matt Crocker's job is to find a coach, and obviously, it makes sense why he is supporting Berhalter, because his job was to hire Berhalter, and if he fires, if he leaves, that means he's not doing a good job at his job. So that makes sense. But the rest of them is like, what else are you doing? It's like there is a lot that you can get done in a 9-to-5 day. Tell us what you're doing. Like every day you should be trying to do some small stuff.
It's almost hilarious how predictable this was.
Yeah.
Like US Soccer spit in our faces when they rehired Gregg Berhalter, when all the calls for them were for them to get someone else. And now here we are, like a year and a bit later.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I could have told you this was gonna happen.
Yeah. They hawked to it in our face.
Yeah.
Is that gonna be the episode title now?
Let's just keep naming it what we named it last time until they fire Gregg.
Yeah. I also I want to back to the coach. How do you guys feel about should a team feel I do also feel back to saying that the team feels too comfortable. I do obviously we don't want a coach to be abusive or anything, but I do that. But a good coach, there's got to be a level of respect that the coach the coach has to be able to make hard decisions, and they have and that comes with the coach with a coach being a certain level above the players. Gregg Berhalter is not above any of these players in that, and so I think that is one thing that the U.S. team will strongly benefit from by bringing in a new coach, is that the atmosphere will change and there will be players who have to earn the respect from the coach. Everyone has to continue to play their hardest to get into the starting lineup. And that only happens if we bring in a coach who has enough quality, not someone like Steve Cherundolo, if Steve Cherundolo becomes the coach of the U.S. men's national team, it's literally Berhalter 0.2.
Seriously, anybody but Steve Cherundolo. I know he's won MLS Cup.
But he's been the coach of LAFC. You don't have to make that. The decisions at LAFC are not that hard.
Yeah, you have an excess of talent. You have an excess of talent. You have an excess of money. You have a massive fan base. It's way easier at LAFC than it will ever be at the USMNT, unless your goal is to win Gold Cups.
And I don't use this term lightly.
You're the most talented.
Steve Cherundolo is a crybaby. I can't stand him. He has, like you just said, excess of talent, excess of money, especially. And yet whenever LAFC lose a game, the weather conditions, they really shouldn't have played this game. Oh, the MLS roster rules. And it's like, who do you have on your team again? Did you just sign Hugo Lloris and you're about to sign Olivier Giroud as well? And you've got Denny Bawanga.
Not exciting. He's not exciting. He's not the type of coach who the U.S. needs, who is exciting. When Berhalter got picked, that was not an exciting signing. No one was excited for him to come in. People were like, okay, new coach. But no one was excited. And a lot of that is just because of who he is. Berhalter never sounds excited when he's talking. Steve Cherundolo really never sounds excited either. They're kind of just they just got dad, US dad vibes. They're just and part of what will make this team more exciting to support is if we have someone who the fans are actually excited about. And I don't think that the fans need need the coach to be something like Jurgen Klopp to be excited about. Because if Jesse Marsch was the coach, fans would be excited because Jesse Marsch is an interesting person. He's I like Jesse Marsch. I think following Canada is fun because Jesse Marsch, he feels like a fun guy. We need someone more along those lines to coach them, but then also they have to have like they have to have a level of respect, and they have to be on a different pedestal than the team. Do you guys have any thoughts about like the coach being? Do you think the coach should be American? Um, Obviously, there was a report before Berhalter was hired that they looked at Marcelo Bielsa to be the coach, but they decided he wouldn't be the coach because they thought one of the requirements is that the coach has to speak English. That's why we passed on Bielsa. Obviously, we know how Bielsa is doing with Uruguay now. Any thoughts on if the coach should be American? Do you think that adds anything?
I think it's like the last thing that matters. Like maybe it makes success a little sweeter, but when you have, players like Balogun and Anthony Robinson in post-game interviews talking like this, oh mate, what a game that was. We really beat him in that scene. Like I really don't think it matters.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at all. So just hire a good coach. That's really what it is. That's what you need to do. Anybody.
Especially in the age of Google Translate, or also just at this level, even at this level, just like hire a translator. It's like also like soccer is a global sport. It doesn't matter if the person doesn't speak perfect English. Like it's a really stupid excuse to not hire someone, and it's like the coach. You should be trying to find the right coach. It shouldn't matter about it. It's why Jurgen Klinsmann was a good fit. Obviously, Jurgen Klinsmann spoke good English, but he was the right coach. We look at Morocco having success. They picked the right coach there. Matt, any thoughts on the next coach?
Yeah, I'm cool with Wilfred Nancy. I'm not cool with Cherundolo. I mean, Cherundolo is better than Gregg. Is something,
but that's a really low bar. Really low bar.
I would be excited about the next era, regardless of who they hire if Gregg is gone, and I'm gonna root for the next US coach until they give me a reason not to. So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna be happy about Cherundolo, but I'm also gonna just root for him until I shouldn't anymore.
I feel like the difference between Gregg and Cherundolo is like chalk flavored ice cream, and then like chalk flavored ice cream with chocolate syrup on it. Like, it's really not. It's not that much better. It's a little better, but it's not. It's not extraordinary.
At least Cherundolo won something. The head coach of the USMNT.
Yeah.
I would love Nancy. By the way, I would. Jurgen Klopp is the dream hire. They've indicated they're going to make an effort to do that. That
Tim Howard was saying he can seduce Klopp to the. I think he wrote a whole op-ed being let me talk to Jurgen.
Get on a plane, Tim Howard. If you say that, get on a plane and go do it.
Yes.
If they hire Klopp, then it's coming home, is what I'll say. Football's coming home.
Yeah.
Jurgen Klopp
to the United States.
He trolled he's definitely aware of what's going on because he trolled U.S. fans by posting a thing on July 4th about
that was hilarious.
This holiday really makes me think about playing in the when we played in the U.S. Like it's just the timing of this. He knows what he's doing. And also and I want to say, for the people who's oh, we can't have Jurgen Klopp. He's asking too much. He's asking for too much money. I think that's crap. I want to believe that, I feel like if he actually really wanted to coach the team, he has enough money. It should be about, if he actually wanted to coach the team, he would want to come coach the team. Now, there's a lot of reasons why someone might not want to coach this team, and that's because of how our federation runs stuff. Even though you probably have a lot of job security if you have this job, maybe that's only when your brother is also in the federation. But going back to what Matt's saying about whoever comes in, because I do think there's going to be a change. I want to support this team. I want to support moving forward. There is enough time for us to see change. It's still 2 years from the World Cup. Like people are saying, like that's another reason you can't get rid of him. There's not enough time. Yes, there's not going to be World Cup qualifiers, but there is enough time for games to change. Like there is enough time where if we find a good group and get people playing consistently, like we could see real change. So whoever comes in, like they have time. Hopefully they will have resources and they will get this team fighting in every game. I have to say one more thing about just about like pay one more time. Again, I mentioned it last week about how Casey Keller continues to point out that we can't bring in someone because of how people are getting paid and because the women's team coach would be getting paid more. Would need to get paid more, which is a stupid sexist belief by Casey Keller. Not happy with this talk. Emma, hopefully it's going to be interesting to see Emma Hayes at the Olympics. Should be interesting. Emma Hayes should be getting paid more than Gregg Berhalter. Currently, I think she is a player she is someone who is going to change this program and players as one of the top coaches, literally the number one coach in the women's game, I would say, is working for US Soccer. So why US Soccer and pundits are like the men's coach cannot get a number one coach is ridiculous, because you literally went out and did it once. Bring in someone real for the men to coach this so-called golden generation, which is clearly not the case based on the results that we are seeing. To wrap up, US MNT thoughts on Copa America. Moving forward, how funny would it be if we get Canada versus Uruguay in the final of Copa America? Matt, is there any chance that happens? And would you enjoy seeing Canada win Copa America versus Uruguay?
That would be hilarious, especially if Schaffelberg scored. I think there's a chance anything happens. With 90-minute games straight into PKs, I think anybody can hang with anybody for 90. And maybe not a competitive game, but a final score of 0-0 is totally achievable. In open play, I would be shocked if Canada wins. Either the semifinal or the final against any of the teams left. So yeah, Canada's a massive underdog. I think we'll probably get Argentina, Colombia. That's how it lines up, right?
Yeah. That's the thing about it. It would be funny to have it be Canada, Uruguay, and for Canada to get a result against Uruguay. I don't expect Uruguay to beat Colombia. I think Colombia is going to win the entire thing.
Yeah, I'm riding hard for Colombia. They're a really fun team to watch.
They're good. They're really good.
Yeah, and it's also a lot of fun to see James Rodriguez playing well again. Mm-hmm. He's been in great form. Yeah, I'm Team Colombia for the rest of this tournament.
I will say about the Canada-Argentina game is an interesting one because we already saw them in this tournament. I think going into this game, both teams will feel good because Canada will be like, okay, we played pretty well against Argentina in the first game. So we know we can go toe-to-toe with them. Now they have confidence because it is later in the competition. However, I think that Argentina definitely has more respect for Canada because I don't think anyone would have expected Argentina to give Canada the chances that they did in that game, even though it was still a shutout. Because of that, I think because Argentina will give Canada more respect in this game, I think that this game is way more likely to be a competitive blowout for Argentina. I expect Argentina to take this game pretty easily. And obviously that could have happened in the last game if Messi doesn't miss 2 one-on-one chances against Canada. Then the game is 4-0, which is what this semifinal could be. And Messi, I mean, we'll see how much he plays in this game, but he will definitely want to bounce back after the missed penalty in the last round. Let's move on from Copa America to the Euros. The Euros are also in the semifinals. We saw the one side, very strong quarterfinal matchups, as we talked about last week. Other side, not so much. But after Spain beat Germany in what I would like to just. I wish that we could just have a second leg of this instead of the next semifinal game, because the Spain-Germany game was very, very good. Spain will play France after France beat Portugal in a shootout, as France has still not scored a goal from open play in the Euros. Matt, what are your expectations for Spain versus France, which comes up on Tuesday?
I picked Spain from the very beginning. I'm going to keep picking Spain. France is a really good team. They haven't scored from open play, but they also haven't conceded from open play. I'm going to pick Spain. But France, these are. I said Spain, Germany was the final, and I still kind of believe that because I think Spain will win it now. But I think the team left that could beat Spain is France. It's in the range of outcomes for sure.
So last week I said that I thought that France was going to win the entire thing, and that was a lot because of Mbappe. Obviously, Mbappe didn't make it to the shootout in this game because it seems like he's just he's in a lot of pain, which is understandable. I've never broken my nose, but it does seem like there is a lot more pain when something doesn't feel normal on the front of your face. So that's definitely playing an impact. Mbappe is still a game changer, but this game's very close because France, yes, they've been good defensively. They're not scoring goals. That's how you win games. Ethan, thoughts on this upcoming game between France and Spain?
I'm going France for this one. I feel like at this point, they're playing a certain style of football that is simultaneously both unbeatable and unwinnable. Like, they're just kind of, they're just in this middle group. Yeah, it's like they're playing anti-soccer, but it's working somehow. And I mean, they have the quality of player that I think they can beat any team in a penalty shootout. So if they can take Spain to penalties, which I think they definitely could, I kind of see them going through on this one. Spain's a lot younger, and less. They're less experienced. I think the experience of the French team will shine through. Also, Deschamps needs to keep Camavinga in the lineup. I don't know why he wasn't starting over Rabiot to begin with, but with Rabiot being suspended for their last game and Camavinga coming in for him, he's just miles better than Rabiot, and I don't know why he hasn't been playing the whole tournament. So Didier Deschamps, I think that's his name. He just keep Camavinga in. There's no reason not to. He's one of the best young players out there, and he's a lot better than Rabiot. But I think France is going to take it.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one. I really don't know who's gonna advance in this game because I don't think this game is gonna be a convincing a convincing performance from France, even if they do win. What I will say, I want to say one more thing about the France Portugal game, and that is that Ronaldo just looks so bad.
Ronaldo's finished. He's so finished, man.
He's like, for people like current, like right now, I would say like, wow, Messi is the best player, was the best player ever. I would say Mbappe is the best player right now, but even with that,
I think you could argue a list of like 5 players right now.
But like, I would say that Messi right now, like he can actually still like run and like work. Ronaldo does nothing. He does not press. He does not score. He does nothing on the field when he except he can convert a penalty. Like he's not even converting set pieces.
Messi's actually a leader.
Terrible. Yeah.
Messi's actually a teammate. The only thing I'll praise Ronaldo for, which it could be a coaching decision rather than a Ronaldo decision, but I do appreciate him taking the first penalty in both of Portugal's penalty shootouts, because I'm tired of the whole like save your best players for the 5th penalty so that they can win the penalty shootout, because that's something Ronaldo used to do a lot. But send your best penalty takers first, because you might not even get to the 5th penalty.
Always.
So send your best penalty takers first, and so I was glad that they were doing that in the last game. But Ronaldo should have been benched. They should have taken him out of the game. He was not adding anything to that team at all.
Yeah, and like bringing him to this tournament, it makes sense. Like, I think it's fine to have someone like it, but just like, he's hindering the team more than he's helping the team. Like, if you want to bring him in just for the shootout, do that. That's where he
have him in like the Megan Rapinoe role in that last World Cup, just coming in as like a leader on the side, to get some sub appearances. But he really shouldn't be starting for this team anymore.
Yeah. Unfortunately, only reason that comparison doesn't work is obviously Megan Rapinoe comes in and misses her penalty.
She did miss that penalty, which is very unfortunate.
But like a complete team, to have a complete team, you have to have a forward who is not only going to finish the chances, but also like on defense, they're going to come back and defend. That's one thing that the best teams have. Looking at the other side of the bracket for the Euros, it will be Netherlands versus England. Netherlands coming from behind after Turkey had the lead in this game, and this game decided by another own goal, the 8th own goal at the tournament. But also, it was only barely an own goal. It was very, to a lot of people, it looked like Netherlands was gonna score that. Before that, Matt, who you got in this game? England or the Netherlands?
We were talking a lot of crap about England, and I think they proved us right up until the point where they won the game. And so I'll pick the Netherlands, even though I'm not confident about the Netherlands either. But I'm more picking against England here.
Yeah, I think everyone will be surprised if whoever wins this game wins the Euros. I think the tier rankings definitely put Spain and France, for as little as convincing as France has been, they have. I would be shocked if either Netherlands or England beat France. I really want the Netherlands to make it because I don't want England to win this tournament. And by saying everything, even with what I just said, for some reason, I think that it could happen that we could get France versus England, and England could win this tournament. And I don't want the England fans to have any momentum with saying anything. So, because of that, I will be rooting for the Netherlands.
I couldn't imagine being an English fan and being happy if this team wins the tournament, because it's such a lackluster team that's really only in this spot right now because of moments of individual brilliance from both Jude Bellingham in the round of 16 and Saka in the game against Switzerland. Otherwise, this team is incredibly mid. It's astonishing how boring this English team is. Southgate seems very rigid in his team picking. Why not switch it up a little bit? Start Cole Palmer instead of Foden for once, because Foden, as good a player as he is, has not been delivering.
Cole Palmer's been pretty bad too, to be fair.
That is true, but
it's hard to make a difference when you're only on the field for 5 minutes.
Yeah, you do. It's kind of what happened to Haji Wright at the end of the Uruguay game. He came on, and he didn't look great, but you have to get a second to build into a game. So yeah, maybe Cole Palmer would do better with a starting role.
Cole Palmer also did step up and take a penalty, while Phil Foden did not.
Yeah.
So shout out to Cole Palmer for that.
If England does win this, it will be so funny with how much criticism and hate Gareth Southgate has got. I think there would be a very strong 180. I don't think that is the case. I don't think that is the case. This is where Southgate and Berhalter are different. Like if the US had like one Copa America, I don't think fans are turning on Berhalter. I think fans would completely turn on Southgate. He's our guy.
England's positive results, I feel like, are all despite Southgate's efforts. They don't beat Slovenia if it's not for Jude Bellingham whipping out an overhead kick in like the last minute of the game. They don't get past Switzerland if it's not for Saka scoring a wonder shot towards the end of the game. What has Southgate been doing other than selecting the same group of middling players, or they're all great players who have been performing nowhere near at the top of their game. Harry Kane goes out there every day and he practically plays CDM. I don't know what he's doing out there. He does not look like.
And this Harry is the Kane. Guy
who the end line. Like I forget what this circumstance was, but Harry Kane had the ball directly on his own end line. About to kick it out for a corner. What is happening?
This is the guy who was the top scorer in the Bundesliga this year.
That's not where he's supposed to be.
If Harry Kane, or if England and France meet in the final, it will be the last game of soccer ever played.
Yeah.
No one will ever watch another game of
soccer. It's the soccer apocalypse, that game.
It could be like the Simpsons soccer meme that gets of how Americans see soccer, where it's like halfback passes to the center, passes to the midfield, center holds it. It's just like that.
Yeah.
Just be like, it'd be like,
That I just know if the final is England-France, that whole stadium is going for nacho tots. Like nobody's watching that game.
Oh my God! Can we get a new commercial, please?
No, we get one soccer commercial each tournament.
The worst ad possible. All right, with that, we're gonna move to talking about MLS because MLS is still playing now. Speaking of that, it was reported, came out a week ago. We failed to talk about this. MLS has said that they are thinking about stopping play during the World Cup in 2026. They haven't said yes. See, playing through these two tournaments, guys, what are your thoughts on MLS saying that they might stop for this tournament? Should they have stopped now?
No, they shouldn't have stopped now, but they should stop for the World Cup, in my opinion. Because there aren't that many MLS players like on a whole in Copa America or the Euros, especially the Euros. But when we get to the World Cup, everybody's going to be there. And there's no point, even from like a ratings perspective, there's no point in trying to program MLS games while the biggest sporting event in the soccer world is happening. An event that only comes every 4 years. We get MLS every year. You know, we're not going to miss out on MLS for a month because the World Cup is about a month long. We'll be fine.
So obviously, MLS should, we've talked about it before, be very nice if MLS wanted to change their schedule to match the rest of the world. I don't want to hear about in some places it's too cold to play soccer. Like, it's fine. We can still have games. It will be fine if we match the rest of the world. That'd be a way to take us more seriously. But this is nothing new for MLS. MLS has no problem doing stuff that goes against the fans or the players. They just do what makes them the most money, always claiming they don't have enough money when all these people are still already billionaires. So they're going to do whatever makes them the most money. MLS, they like the Leagues Cup, even though the Leagues Cup is stupid. We've showed that it proves nothing for MLS dominance in this region. So that would be the reason why they keep it, is because they want to stop the season for competitions like the Leagues Cup. But it is an interesting time. It's just like, again, MLS shows that they would do anything for the money. We look at this past week, we had El Tráfico at the Rose Bowl, July 4th. It showed the fan. There were 70,000 people here at this game. Last year there were 90,000, and I do think a lot less people were paying attention to this game because there's just so much more going on, and this is a shame. It's a shame for MLS in the fact that. I do feel like El Tráfico used to be like a monumentous occasion for MLS, and it's like, yeah, no one really cared about it. I remembered that it was happening in when the game is already in the 80th minute, which is shocking because both of the teams are actually good this year, as opposed to some other games when the Galaxy were so bad, but somehow they got a result. So I think it makes us look bad, but then also it's interesting. But then also I think some of that this is because of the MLS Apple TV deal. It's the games are harder to find. The neutrals aren't the people who are going to watch MLS. They're not seeing games as often, and just playing during these times when the stars aren't there, that does it hurts the league. So while they might be gaining more money for it, there is so many downsides to this, and also they just announced MLS throwback uniforms are coming out, but they're including throwback uniforms for LAFC and Inter Miami, which is just another more evidence that all they care about is money, because neither LAFC or Inter Miami should have throwback uniforms with how new their existence is. Matt, any thoughts on like MLS, like how MLS is covered, or like these decisions?
Yeah, I think it's going to be run better. I still think it's a relatively good product. I think it's a better product than it was years ago. It's definitely taken a massive step forward since it was acquired by Apple. The favoritism is to be expected when you have superstars of Messi's caliber on teams, and superstars of I'm trying to think.
The only thing that would make the throwback jerseys okay would be as if they still achieve USA jerseys.
That would be cool.
In this
USA jersey would be very cool.
If it looked like that jersey, but then replaced the crest of Chivas USA with LAFC, that would be funny. But they would never do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the coverage is fine. The coverage is getting better. They're going to play games that people aren't going to care about because of the regular season is so long, and everybody makes the playoffs besides maybe Seattle.
Okay. We're in sixth right now. We are in sixth right now.
16th?
Sixth in the West.
That's pretty good. Moving up.
That's
moving
not
on
bad. I don't know when that happened. But that's much better.
I think we're 2 points out from fourth. We could be hosting a playoff game if we. Yeah, we're 3 points out of.
I know you'll be hosting a playoff game, like a watch party in your house.
Okay.
Because the Seattle's, they won't be playing it in Seattle, but you'll be hosting a watch party.
Nice job trying to get there. That was not.
I think I did it. I think I pulled it off.
Okay.
It wasn't seamless. It wasn't seamless.
It took you
but
a little
I did
bit.
it.
All right, moving into.
I have to acknowledge something. You are on 30 points. Sale's on 30 points.
Yep.
Or no, sorry, 31 points.
You're gonna talk about how close
Portland, Dynamo, Austin, and Minnesota are all within 2 points.
Yeah.
Behind.
Yeah.
This is about as shaky as a sixth can get. In fact, two teams have a game in hand. This is not. This is sixth within.
This is a fake sixth.
Yeah, but
this
we're
is a
on
Mickey
the up
Mouse
and up.
sixth place.
We're on the up and up right now.
I would agree with up and up because it was not. It was not sixth a second ago.
But but again, like all these teams that are around us right now, except for Vancouver, like we beat Portland this season, we beat Houston. We're our next game is against Austin. Like we are better than all those teams around us. We beat Minnesota, we beat Dallas, we beat St. Louis. The teams that we haven't beat are the teams that are way at the bottom. Somehow.
So what does that say about the Seattle team?
We're gonna make the playoffs. Like we're gonna make the playoffs is the point. We're definitely gonna be there. All right, we're gonna talk about our actual team's games now. Matt has said that the Apple TV quality has been good, but Sounders game against Chicago, not the brightest moment for Apple TV, as at this game, yes, there was some weather. There was some weather in Seattle. In like the 75th minute, we had a Super Bowl 47 situation where half of the lights went out in the stadium, and for like a couple seconds, happened 3 times, and big crowd reaction when it happened. Game didn't stop or anything. But for the end of the game, it seemed like Lumen Field was on backup power. I've heard that T-Mobile Park, which is right next to Lumen Field, which the Mariners were playing, they also were affected. They lost some power. But in the stadium, everything was still working. The cameras that were showing the screens, those were still working. But Apple TV, it seems, was not plugged into backup power. So the last 15 minutes of this game were shot with the only camera that they had, which was the field camera. And with that one camera, this game was not shot well. There was a lot of random zooming in and zooming out. They didn't have a clock or a scoreboard, so they would zoom into the scoreboard and at random times, which is just stupid. Just have the commentator say the time. There was lots of times where we had a zoomed-in shot of someone's backside. Lots of just like seeing the substitution. Like, with how much money Apple has, this is unacceptable. This is something that should not be happening at the premier level. I mean, the Sounders got past Chicago.
Is
in
that
this
premier
game.
though? Is that the premier level? Seattle versus Chicago.
Okay. Okay, man. But the winning goal in this, which was a penalty spot, was shot from midfield at field level. Just like, what kind of a shot is this? Like, absolutely unacceptable for Major League Soccer to be allowing this. They did get the main camera up at the end, but they didn't have score, and they didn't have the time again. And then at the end, they didn't have any graphics. They were playing the audio that they had, but they were still showing just like a blank feed of it. Just absolutely unacceptable for MLS. And this is not the first time that they've had technical difficulties like this. The Sounders game against Philadelphia, the game with all the rain, they came on the air, didn't have a scoreboard. Everything looked bad. And they're like, the crew has been working hard all day. And I get that. I get that. Like, rain is tough. And like, as someone who wants to work in the television production industry, I understand that this job is hard. But clearly, what this is, instead of blaming the crew, I'm blaming MLS on clearly the working conditions for the standard are not on the same level. So MLS they got to provide like better working conditions and better equipment so that this stuff doesn't happen and that the technical staff isn't the one being blamed, because MLS and Apple should be the ones are responsible for this being terrible. Getting into the actual game, Seattle versus Chicago, the first half of this game was one of the most boring halves of Sounders soccer I've ever seen. The Sounders literally forgot that we had a game. We looked so bad. Chicago is the worst team in the Eastern Conference, and we made them look like fucking prime Real Madrid in this. They had 5 chances. They put one. They only were able to put one away because they are still the Chicago Fire, and we should be. The fact that we won this game is crazy. And yes, and it happens only from the penalty spot, because, well, yes, we did play better in the second half. And yes, all the penalties were the correct call. It still took the penalty spot to beat them. So obviously, it's a result that we needed, but it was not a good performance from the Sounders against Chicago. Ethan, any thoughts on the broadcast quality or the Sounders in this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but I'm vibing with you on this. When in doubt, blame MLS. It should be better.
Yeah. Matt, any thoughts on the quality of that that you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it was a crazy situation to lose power. You would expect 2 companies of the magnitude, scale, size of MLS and Apple to be prepared for it. And yeah, it's disappointing that they weren't. Oh, it's cool that Seattle won.
Yeah. Big brace.
Yeah, it's kind of a rarity.
Okay. We've just had 4 wins at home in a row. Let me remind you.
Can you go through those opponents really quickly?
I don't want to.
Okay. Do you want me to?
Yeah, No, it's fine.
We can do it for you if you don't feel like it. We can.
What are your thoughts on? Do you guys have any thoughts on Albert Rusnak taking off his shirt after beating Chicago?
Hilarious.
With two penalties at home.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
as funny as it gets.
Let's move on to a team that did not win at home last weekend, like the Sounders did, losing to the same scoreline against a Messi-less Miami. That was Nashville. Yes, the team who did not win. Matt, thoughts on this game versus Miami?
Yeah, we played a really good Miami team. There's big news in Nashville.
Yeah, really good.
It didn't apply to this game just yet. And it didn't apply to the next game either. It will apply July 22nd. But this is still a interim head coach Nashville team, and they lose to Miami, and then I'll go ahead and skip to they lose on a road trip to Columbus. But this is just a tough back-to-back Saturday to Wednesday schedule. Even though Miami didn't have Messi, they had Busquets, they had Alba. Alba scores a screamer in this game. And I thought that they actually in the second half had the better bit of the chances. So, when you're in the phase that Nashville's in, which is this heading towards the future, eye on you want to compete this season, but it's really about next season and beyond with a new coach. I think there's encouraging things about the team, and I think that you can't take a result against a good Miami team and then a result, which, by the way, Columbus, first of all, Columbus's goal that stood, I don't know about that. And then the lack of the PK for Nashville is pretty brutal. The goal that got called back from Boyd's supposed handball. Are you all aware of these calls?
Yeah, I think the Boyd handball is more of a talking point than the.
That was out of bounds. That ball was out of bounds.
Yeah.
I think both of these are bad calls. I think Nashville deserves a point out of this game, and I've seen Columbus fans agree with that point. So when you have the other team agreeing, that's worth what it's worth. 1 point in the grand scheme of things in this season, which, as I've said, you want to compete, but it's not about this season, is not a huge deal. So I'm not all that hurt about it, but these are two calls that I want anyone who hasn't seen these Columbus Nashville highlights to go check out, because they're pretty bad calls, not in the favor of Nashville. So I don't think these two results are that discouraging, even though Nashville go 0 points out of these two.
I mean, I was disappointed in Nashville's game against Miami because, we look at, I don't think this Miami team is very good. Hence, they just lost 6-1 against Cincinnati. Of course, it is
Cincinnati are very good, by the way. Cincinnati are probably the best team in the league right now.
I mean, they are playing very well, but then also I don't think this Miami team is good, and I do think Nashville was the better team in the second half. They should have gotten a result against Miami, and this just shows that they need their new coach to come in and make a difference.
Should we talk about that briefly?
Yeah. We gotta move into the coach. The timing of this is so funny.
Nashville hire BJ Callahan. He'll take over in the space between the last MLS game before the Leagues Cup and the Leagues Cup. And it's a super exciting hire. The USMNT played inspired soccer under BJ. It's hard to tell how much of that is him just letting the talent do what it's going to do and how much of it is his tactical prowess. But as a Nashville fan, it's impossible not to be excited, because Nashville, even when they've been good, have been hard to watch, boring to watch. Gary Ball is notorious in MLS for being a difficult brand of soccer to enjoy. So it's you got to be excited about this Nashville team under BJ Callahan, and I definitely am, and we'll see. We'll judge fairly, but moving in a good direction.
The timing of this is just so funny. It's so funny how that it comes out like right after the result against Uruguay, or I guess there was a day or two after it, but it's still like, yeah, it's time to jump ship, time to move to Nashville. I like PJ Callahan. I hope he has success. I think it's a good hire. I'm excited for this one. Ethan, any thoughts on the hire hiring?
It's a fun hire. I'm really curious to see exactly what will change with Nashville, what the culture will change, what the difference will be. If Callahan has any players on his mind that he wants to sign, or any players on his mind that he wants to sort of 86 from the squad, I think that'll be very interesting to find out, see what his plans are. I'll also just add on, I did review those plays that you just mentioned in the Columbus game, and Nashville was 100% hard done by there, I think, on both calls. I don't really see the supposed handball with the Boyd goal. I don't really even see what they're talking about, to be honest. Maybe the YouTube highlight package is not like thorough enough, but I really don't even see the contact.
It's not like that's ever happened before.
Yeah, seriously.
But you're right. It's not there. Like I'm biased, but that I don't see it.
And the goal, Columbus's first goal, that ball is clearly out of play. I feel like it's so clearly out, like it clearly crosses the line. So
yeah, that is like.
And by the way, on the Tyler
how is
Boyd
VAR
goal,
not seeing that?
On Tyler Boyd's goal, they overturned it to a handball. Right. They said it was clearly and obviously a handball, and that was the error.
Yeah,
like it wasn't like they didn't find it.
There ain't no clear and obvious handball there.
No. I mean, it's 1 point. I'm like not that upset about it, but
we didn't see a handball. We didn't see a handball in do you think that was making up for the Spain game?
Spain, Germany. Yeah, I think they were thinking that
Spain.
That was such a handball. Oh my god!
Absolutely, that's it.
How was that not called? It's ridiculous.
No idea. No, there's a freeze frame or a picture or something that is just.
That was going in.
Yeah,
that was going in. Or it was at least on target.
What is that? A yellow card or a red card?
His arm is out here, man. His arm is so outstretched. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
I feel like that wouldn't have been a red card because there's a lot of people like in the box. Not that there's a lot that the chance. I do think it had a chance to go in, but I think that's probably a yellow card. It's insane.
Why Spain are kind of a fraudulent semifinalist, to be honest. Like Spain are a very good team. They're a very good team, but Germany should have had a penalty in that game.
Yeah, no, Spain should have. Yeah, Germany should have gotten a penalty for that, but like you can't take nothing away from the play. Besides that,
I'm going to take a little bit away from Spain.
Spain are the only team to have won all their games. They played the host nation Germany in the quarterfinals because of a crazy draw. The best player in the tournament was Musiala, and now he's not playing anymore because Spain beat him. I think that was a PK, but I also think Spain deserved to be where they are.
Also, the refereeing has still been light years better in the Euros than it has been in Copa America, and that's still there is still that there was which game was it in the group stage that had like 22 yellow cards in it, that had 21 yellow cards in it? That like there's been games that have gotten absolutely out of hand in the Euros, and just in the tournaments this year, the refereeing has not been good. Let's move on to NYCFC. They played Montreal that was last week. Ethan, thoughts on this one?
Yeah, good game. Really good performance from NYCFC. Not much to talk about. Very dominant performance. Montreal never really was too dangerous in this game. At the end of the day, they are a bad team, and they're a team that we should be beating. And we beat them pretty convincingly. 2 very good goals from Alonso Martinez, who still is proving himself to be our best option as a starting striker.
And this game was at City Field. Any thoughts on that? Oh no.
Yeah, it was a very fine experience. It's always fine at City Field. My heart will always prefer Yankee Stadium. I've just spent the most time there. I have the best memories there. So yeah.
How far away from the field? It seems like there's like, how far away from the field were you? Because it feels like it does annoy. It would annoy me if like there was like 20 yards of out of bounds space.
It's a little far, but I mean it's not horrible. Like it's still the view is still good. But it's a little far. But yeah, it's not too bad. But very good game from everyone involved. I can't say the same for NYCFC against Austin FC, which happened last night. This is our first time playing Austin in the
full circle here. Full circle moment here. We said his name at the beginning. We said his name at the beginning of this episode. He's still banging in goals.
Gyasi Zardes breaks the top 10 of MLS all-time scoring with 105 goals. Gets a brace against NYCFC. And I think number 9 has like 108 goals. And so I imagine that he'll pass that this season as well.
I think 8 and 9 are tied at 108. So he's headed for like.
Yeah.
Breaking into the
and
top
look, he
10.
deserves it, man. He's been around for a long time. He's always been a fairly uncontroversial figure, I feel like, in the MLS.
He breaks into the top 10, but he has cemented himself in at least the top 3 as worst hairstyles in MLS.
No, I was just gonna compliment his hairstyle.
No,
I like his hairstyle, and I like that he did it.
No,
I believe he did it.
No,
I believe he adopted that hairstyle so that his grandma could point him out on the field when she would watch him play. And let me say,
there are other ways to do that. There are other ways to do that.
Look, the other way to do that is how the original Ronaldo R9 did it, which is way worse. When he shaved his head to be this little front bit here.
Yeah.
That's way worse. Gyasi Zardes' haircut is kind of iconic.
Cleats. Orange cleats. Green cleats.
Grandma's not going to see the cleats. But he's got that blonde, kind of mohawk. I think it looks good. This is a player that Gyasi Zardes and Kai Kamara as well, who also just broke an MLS scoring record. Those are 2 guys that I really wish NYCFC would have given a better look at. We could use a proven MLS striker like these guys. And Gyasi Zardes, especially at age 32, he's really not that old. Kai Kamara is 39. That's definitely a little on the older side, but he's still scoring for LAFC. So,
do you think the delay played a factor in this?
I don't think so. It's an unfortunate game. Austin is not the easiest place to play on the road. Austin
it is for the Sounders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Austin are not the best team in the world right now. It's our first time ever actually playing them in the MLS. First time going up against former NYCFC players Alex Ring and Brad Stuver. Alex Ring back on NYCFC was straight up my favorite player. My last NYCFC jersey was an Alex Ring jersey, and I was very sad when he left. But I realized kind of leading up to the game and confirmed it throughout the game. I was looking at our NYCFC team and I was like, Alex Ring didn't play with 90% of these guys. Our team has changed a lot since Alex Ring was last on the squad.
I think it would be really funny if Greg Berhalter becomes the coach of Austin FC after this, because not only that means he's basically going back to Columbus, because of the ownership group. But also, that would be really funny from a Reyna perspective, since like Claudio Reyna, he used to be part of the ownership group before he was found out to be horrible.
What I will say about the coach of Austin, Josh Wolf, is that he is like the most finance bro looking coach I've maybe ever seen.
No, he's not the most.
Who else?
He's definitely up there.
Like, who else has? He has like the finance bro vibes on lock. He looks like he'll come up to you at a bar, holding a White Claw or a Truly, and like start talking about stocks. It's ridiculous.
I think Caleb Porter, or I think Caleb Porter or Steve Cherundolo have him beat.
No, Steve Cherundolo, he looks more like a lawyer, I feel like. Not necessarily a finance.
What about Greg Vanny?
I don't know.
No,
Greg Vanny, to me, it looks like the guy who will tell you a lot about beer. Like, he'll come up to you at a bar and he'll be like, oh, this is brewed with hops from Jamaica, and they ferment it in a bean.
He's too clean shaven for that.
He's a 5 o'clock shadow.
That guy, the person who's talking about, who would be talking about beer, would have like a full beard. I feel like
maybe, yeah.
A flannel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Interesting question. Do we think Greg Berhalter will start coaching in MLS soon if he does get fired?
Man.
I mean, if you're an MLS coach,
St. Louis just fired their coach for whatever dumb reason they had.
That was a crazy move.
Yeah. I don't know why they did that. Good coaches are few and far between. They're hard to come by. And to sack this guy in his second season after giving St. Louis, after giving St. Louis the best, like,
way more good than that.
Yeah, seriously.
He was coach of the year. He should have been coach of the year. Like,
he should have been coach of the year.
Yes, Pat Noonan wins the Supporter Shield, but it should have been him. Any of the bad MLS teams who are thinking about firing their coach right now,
snap up that St. Louis guy.
Don't say don't bring up.
Don't sign Berhalter.
Yeah, don't say that. San Jose. Who else is on the chopping block right now?
Probably Chicago.
SKC.
SKC, yeah.
They're a close team. Chicago, yeah. Okay, you brought up the Sounders, but no.
But yeah, this NYCFC game against Austin, it's really a game of two halves. NYCFC were I don't know if I'd say dominant in the first half, but they were definitely the stronger team in the first half. We scored good goal. Yes, we scored very early on with a fantastic cross from Tavon Gray, his 5th assist of the season. Great finish from Andres Pereira, who should really be getting some USMNT minutes. Just throwing that out there. Born in Tampa, Florida, has made appearances for the USMNT before, and he should really make more.
Also, he just needs to get more minutes for NYCFC.
He does.
Him getting the start in this game was huge, and the fact he scores 5 minutes in.
The thing is, he's clearly he's shown to me that he's much better starting than off the bench, I think. And I've wanted for a long time to see what we look like with Parks, Sands, and Pereira all on the field together, because I think they could be a pretty deadly midfield trio. The only downside, though, is that it kind of forces Santi to play on the wing. Though in this game, it kind of ended up being Pereira on the left, and Santi kind of came into the midfield for his regular 10 position. But NYCFC got pretty beaten in this game. Physically, Santi was not the same player because he gets hit in the head and was bleeding like crazy from his forehead. He's wearing a big wrap around his head the whole game, and he was never really the same. Tavon gets injured, and he has to come out. Kevin O'Toole gets injured and has to come out. we got hit with some injuries this game, and Austin were just better in the second half, and they took the game.
All right. Moving on to, so Nashville hasn't played this weekend yet. That game is coming up later today, 7:30 Pacific time. They will be in Portland. Obviously, so it's against Portland. Obviously, we know how close the Western Conference is. So I'm rooting hard for you this week. Matt, how are you feeling with the game against Portland?
Yeah, good. Nashville should probably be able to beat Portland. It's on the road, so it'll be tough. And I'm really just looking towards Leagues Cup at this point. That's what I'm most excited about with this team.
Do you like that Nashville is waiting to put BJ Callahan?
It doesn't make that much sense to me, to be honest.
Yeah, like what's the wait? Like they gotta keep collecting points.
Yeah, I don't know what the wait is. I mean, it's a natural transition to make him the head coach for the Leagues Cup, but it is weird. Normally, you announce a head coach and then they coach.
Yeah,
we have a couple games where Roomba is still going to coach. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's something interesting. Yeah, I wonder if he's doing anything these days. If you're like definitely puts the players in an odd situation right now.
I mean, I imagine he's watching the games.
Yeah, you would hope.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. The game of the week also that we picked last time, Chicago San Jose, the battle of the worst. That game is also coming up. Later. We'll see what happens in the moving forward. In that game, coming up for football, obviously we got the semifinals for the Euros and Copa America on Tuesday and Wednesday. Also happening on Tuesday and Wednesday. What more people care about is the US Open Cup. The Sounders are playing in Sacramento on Tuesday. Smetzer has said that they're taking this game seriously. He said before the New England game that we needed to win the New England game, but if we were playing well, that we would rest players. We didn't really. I wouldn't really say it was super obvious that the substitutions we made against New England were in preparation for this. Paul Rothrock started this game. He came out in the 60th minute, but that was also just kind of what the game felt like. Obviously, he goes out for Raul Roy Diaz, who is back from the weird coach suspension, but he's back. Gets 30 minutes in this one. For this game against Sacramento, I want us to play. I want as many starters playing in this game as possible. With that being said, I think that the lineup that we played against New England, that lineup is going to play. This is going to play in Austin this next week. So with that, the changes that I expect is I expect Raul Roy Diaz to start this US Open Cup game, and I would that would make me very happy if he does start that game. I also expect Andrew Thomas to play. I think that he's established that this is his tournament in second. We see it with the big clubs; they play their backup in the second tournament. He's also been good. I'm fine with that. For the rest of the lineup, I hope we see more starters than not, or at least that we have those normal starters on the bench, because again, Sacramento is good. It's a hard place to play, and we win this game, we are 2 more wins away from a trophy, rather than being 20 games. Because like if you add the playoffs and the games remaining in MLS, a lot more games before MLS Cup than there are for this cup. So we should be playing hard to win this tournament and become the first MLS team to win 5 US Open Cups. Ethan, Matt, who thoughts on the Open Cup?
If you guys win this Open Cup, major asterisk,
big asterisk,
incredible asterisk.
I mean, the asterisk is bigger than the trophy.
Yes, comet-sized asterisk. Like,
I think you need to win 3 to equal an old 1.
Do you think the Sounders are going to move on against Sacramento? The team that's made it the farthest.
Yeah, I'm going to be rooting for Sacramento, but most likely, I'm gonna put on Lady Bird in the background. Get the Sacramento vibe going.
That's fine.
Nice, respect.
I'm not rooting for Sacramento. I just can't wait for how insufferable Seattle fans are going to be when they win this trophy.
Thoughts on the rest? For the other games, a reminder: so the Sounders will play the winner of LAFC versus New Mexico. That whoever wins the Sacramento Sounders game will host LAFC or New Mexico. Other side is Atlanta United versus Indy 11, and the only MLS matchup is Sporting Kansas City versus FC Dallas. What else do you guys expect for the other games? What do you expect? Who do we think is meeting up in the final? Based on that, Matt.
So Dallas is on the other side from Seattle.
Yes, it's Sporting Kansas City is playing Dallas, and the winner of that game will play at Atlanta or Indy.
I like Dallas. I feel like Dallas usually takes this tournament pretty seriously.
You think Dallas, Seattle? What about you, Ethan? Do you think New Mexico can get past?
Yeah, sure.
LAFC?
Why not? Let's go New Mexico.
New Mexico, Indianapolis.
It'd be so fun if Indy and New Mexico can advance.
That would be better.
We don't want the lower division teams making farther in this tournament after all the drama would be great. So we'll see what happens in those games. Please, Sounders, please play more starters. If we play Pedro in this game, I mean, we've been saying we're going to give him more minutes. That would make me – I don't think that's not going to happen, but that would be awesome if we started Pedro de la Vega in this game. That would be a statement. We said we were going to give him more minutes, but he got more time in Chicago in the game against Chicago than he did against New England. So don't know what's going on there. They say he's trending in the right direction, but strange move there. Anyway, Sounders will be going to Austin. It'll be interesting to see what we line up after this Open Cup game. Austin is bad, should be able to get a result. We know we're better than NYCFC, so we know we got to play.
Untrue.
If Austin
Jesse
can beat them,
scores a brace against us, he's going to score a hat trick against Seattle.
But anyway, it should be an interesting one. We'll see if we start a lot of youngsters again. We've proven that we can start 5 teenagers and do well against them. So we'll see what happens. Nashville will be at DC. Nashville gets to face Christian Benteke. Would like if Christian Benteke would keep extending my lead. How are you feeling going into this one, Matt?
Probably should win. But it's really it just is what it is until BJ is the coach. Just in the interim, and that's what it feels like.
NYCFC will be at Chicago. Shaqiri should be back. Will he be interesting to see if he's excited to play NYCFC? Ethan, how are you feeling about that game?
Interesting. Our away record has been pretty abysmal this year. Not as bad as other years, but it's not been great. But it is Chicago, so we should be getting some kind of a result.
See, you missed the opportunity. Like, you could have done exactly what I just said about NYC. CFC in Austin since the Sounders just played Chicago, but you miss the opportunity there.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see.
I just don't think about the Sounders. What can I say? It's out of sight, out of mind.
Damn. All right. With that, our next episode is also going to be on a Sunday, but it's going to be back at the normal start time, 1 p.m. Eastern, live on Sunday, July 14th. We'll talk about the Euros. We'll talk about Copa America. We'll talk about whatever happens with Gregg Berhalter. Please, oh please, let that be good news. Moving forward, remember to follow us on Twitter at WECB Football. Subscribe here on YouTube at Football's Life at Football's Life WECB. Follow us on Instagram on at footballslife.wecb. Send us questions at footballslife.net or at footballslife.wecb@gmail.com. Until next time, we'll see you on Sunday, July 14th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Football is